You got any questions?
Go ahead.
Billy, what do you take from pretty extraordinary circumstance? Suns, obviously you're down 7 or 8 guys. I saw at one point where you played briefly the third quarter, looked like. But what do you take from this game? The way that they I don't know, got the lead, but be able to hung in at the end.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's plenty of things because we haven't been necessarily in like a lot of close games. We've been in a couple. I think the ending of this game, just from side of the bounds, inbounding the ball, a couple breakdowns defensively. Yabo had that run out dunk. I thought was that kind of got them out in transition. There was just some plays that happened that I think we can clean up. But the biggest thing we've tried to focus on is what we can really control. And I think in this game plan against this team, one, they're a really, really good offensive rebounding team. Two, they really, really turn you over. And that's been a major problem for us since the All-Star break has been the turnovers. And then, the third part is they really, really shoot threes. And a lot of those times, those turnovers lead to runouts. So, we felt like we needed to play fast and get out in transition. We needed to rebound, and we needed to take care of the basketball. I thought those were all things that we're capable of controlling. And so I mean, it's just more putting the focus on that.
I was bigger picture, about the team, where you've been, losing as many as you have, and then winning a game like this against a team that's in position in the West. And
I'm happy for. Yeah, I'm happy for the. Yeah, I'm really just personally happy for just the guys in the locker room, because to your point earlier before the game, you've won one game out of whatever is 11 or 12, and you see these guys every day. They keep coming back to try to get better, to try to improve, and I've seen improvements. I've seen the group getting better, but sometimes it's hard to swallow when you don't get the results. And I thought we played a good game against Milwaukee, and I thought we played okay against Oklahoma City. Some of the things, with the turnovers and some of those things really, really hurt us in that game. Second half, we got hurt on the backboard, but we took care of the ball tonight better than we had been taking care of the ball. So I feel like we've made progress, but when you don't get results, it really takes a special group of guys to keep coming back to try to get better. And I'm just happy for the work that they put in, that they get a chance to get rewarded.
Billy, Booker got his, but it seemed like he really had to work for it. And Isaac was a key culprit in that, making him, if he got it, he had to earn it.
Yeah, I thought he was, I kind of got a little bit upset, at halftime about, we were holding the ball too much, I thought, and we kind of we could have gone in with a little bit of a bigger lead, but I just didn't like the way we closed. We didn't really have a rhythm. And I told them at halftime, the hardest job anybody on our team has is Isaac. And when we hold the ball, it allows their team to rest and play offense. And when you're dealing with an explosive player like that, you got to be able to move the basketball. We got to move 5 bodies. And I thought the effort that he gave, even some of the shots that he made, were like tough. He had to earn them, and he's just a great offensive player. And there's a lot of them, like we talked about, they take a lot of shots in the mid-range, and sometimes as good as he is and the shot-making ability of him, you got to kind of like just tip your cap and just move forward, But I thought he made it really, really hard and made him work. And to your point, he's that kind of scorer and that gift that he's going to get points. But I felt like Isaac did an amazing job on him.
Just to Sam's question earlier about the resilience and 37.5 minutes for Sexton tonight, and it seems like obviously he can be like a little bit turnover prone, but tonight he just kind of was very efficient, but also it seemed like every time he kind of had a run against you, he was like the one that was kind of trying to get you back on track. What have you seen from him, both on the court, but also from like a leadership perspective in terms of?
Yeah, he's very, very vocal in a very positive way. He's very, very passionate. He's a really good competitor. Like I've told him, I think for him, and us, the things that he can bring to the table is what you just mentioned, right? And because he's good at those things, what he can't do is hold the ball and want to play ISO, because what ends up happening is the floor gets crammed up. That's when a lot of the turnovers happen. No one's really involved. And I thought in the second half, he was like really decisive. Like he made a great screen. He rolled. We got him a quick layup. He had a couple catch and shoot threes. He had some really good drop. But he's like quick and decisive. When he does that, that helps us, because then he is going to be able to make better decisions in the paint instead of playing against a crowded, loaded floor. And I thought, closing the second quarter, we got into that a little bit with him and Rob, where we just kind of needed to get it moving a little bit, because both those guys are so good attacking the paint that the more they're on the move, the more the ball's moving, the more it's going to create opportunities for them where they're going against closeouts. And those two guys are really hard to guard off the dribble. And then once they get to the teeth of the defense, to your point, they're either finish at the rim, they're getting fouled, they're spraying to somebody for an open shot.
The a message a month ago. The trading deadline was evaluation, kind of the last 27 or whatever valuation. And what does it mean? You finished with Sexton, Yabusele, Richard, Tre, Okoro. Your veteran guys. So it's sort of like it's a thing like, hey, look, if we're in the game close, we just got to try to win the game. And if we can't worry about anything else, we're just about to win the game. Is that the way you look at it?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think when the trade deadline happened and, speaking to the front office and speaking to ownership, it was like, listen, we're trying to go out there and win, and as a coach, I appreciate that. I've talked about this before. I get the ramifications of how, what it may look, but this is, what I think the organization stands for and wants to stand for, that we have a responsibility professionally to go out there and do our very, very best and give it our all. And, when I'm in a situation as a coach and we're preaching, wanting to go out, wanting to compete, trying to win games and do that stuff, I feel the responsibility to put the guys that, I felt were best to close the game. And I've said this before, sometimes you're going off your gut. It was a little bit easier tonight because we didn't have a lot of depth. And I went with the older guys and the veteran guys. But yeah, that's kind of, what we're doing and trying to do. And, as we get whole, some of those decisions may be a little bit more challenging just because we'll have more bodies. But I mean, as hard as these guys work, I mean, they're trying to win. They're trying to win, and as a coaching staff, we're trying to help them as best we can from the bench, in shoot-arounds and practices and in film sessions.
As,
Last one.
you put the ball in Sexton's hand quite a bit to the end, or he put the ball in his hand. Somebody, but yeah. What does that mean for him with this team going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think with there was so much on Tre's plate. One of the things I was concerned about with Josh being out tonight, and I always think you try to keep and manage Tre's minutes in terms of these short stints. That's where he's most effective. I thought he was tired coming down the stretch, and rightfully so, because a guy really plays incredibly hard. But I thought tonight, because of their ability to turn you over, we needed two guards out there all the time. So I think it was an opportunity for him to give Tre a break sometimes where the load just didn't fall on him every single time down the floor. And I thought Collin and even Rob, and even when Yuki was out there, there was a couple ball hands that some other guys could take the onus off of just one guy. They started trapping a little bit more in the second half. And you want to be able to have, when the ball comes out of the trap, another playmaker that can kind of make a play and get downhill. So, for him, I mean, Collin's been a really good scorer in this league for a good portion of his career. So he's been in these moments, in these situations. And, like I told him, we need him to be aggressive and him to be quick and decisive and attack and be who he is. And he does get downhill, and he is an unselfish player. He's willing to pass it. And again, it takes some, like pressure and all the load off of Tre as well.
I have one little short one.
Sure.
Last play on Jones, the tip throwing up in the air with missed free throw. What did you see? How did you view it?
Well, it was interesting. We really got hurt on the glass in the second half, but it was amazing when an offensive rebound won it for us. But the smartest thing, by Tre was like, okay, like I'm about to fall out of bounds. I'm just going to throw this thing up into the air, and then no one's going to he's got that awareness factor of what's, how to impact winning and like the little things like in what you're talking about. Like it's just an incredible, heady, smart play to be able to throw it up like that. So, give him a lot of credit for making that play and kind of forcing the game to come to an end. And him and Isaac, I thought, did a good job on the free throw miss.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. What does this game mean, overall for this team and, what you guys are trying to do?
I would say, honestly, it meant a lot. I would say it meant more than most people. At the end of the day, we all had next man up mentality. We lost two of our best guys. Josh and Otis, they were out, so we had to be ready. We had big shoes to fill, and everyone had to step up whenever their name was called. And this game meant a lot just because we knew we had to be the first one to throw the first punch and be the more physical team. That's a really good ball team over there, so we knew that we couldn't lay down.
What about, you personally? Obviously, Coach kind of put the ball in your hand, big game throughout, kind of carried the team down the stretch. What does it mean for you to personally be in that situation, given the on circumstances.
Honestly, it felt good. Definitely felt good. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't have gotten those positions if it wasn't for my teammates helping me out, helping space the floor, but also making a lot of shots and making a lot of plays down the stretch. So they allowed me to get to the paint just by their space and gave me room to operate. But at the end of the day, it was more of a coach. Coach at the end of the day, he called some really good plays down the stretch, and you can tell we tried to execute as much as possible, and that's why we came out with the victory.
He said the last couple games he's been trying to like get you to hurry up and like make quicker decisions. You feel like you're starting to acclimate to like the pace and the speed that you're supposed to be making decisions.
I would say definitely. Me and Coach, we got at it during halftime today. He encouraged me to just continue to play with the pass and make quicker decisions, like you said, but also just don't miss opportunities to shoot the ball or even just opportunities to drive. But at the end of the day, me and Coach, we have a really good relationship. He's been pretty hard on me since day one, and I love it. I love it. I know at the end of the day, that's how I get the best out of myself when someone is not going to let anything slip by. And also, when the coach is on you, that's a good thing.
Hey, Colin, how appreciative of you are you of? I mean, you've been around long enough. You know how this works with a team that's currently not sitting in playoff contention. They could have brought you here and kind of let you just wither. Just been like, yeah, we're just not going to play you, and because we don't know your future with us, and we are where we are in the standings. But it seems they're like letting you showcase your talents and playing like every game to win. I mean, how appreciative you are that you're getting that chance.
I'm very definitely appreciative. At the end of the day, I always take it one day at a time. At the end of the day, 1 second at a time, 1 minute at a time. At the end of the day, I always tell myself, be where my feet are at and be grounded and focus on the now and not focus too far in the future. And I appreciate the team as well as the organization just giving me opportunity and trusting me down the stretch, even with the ball, but also just to make plays for others. So I appreciate it. And also I appreciate Coach. At the end of the day, Coach, he's been going through a lot. And I've been praying for him. My family's been praying for him. And for him to come up each and every day with a smile on his face and trying to be better and trying to encourage us. Like, he has a lot going on, but at the end of the day, we are humans first before any of this. And at the end of the day, me checking in and the team checking in on him, that's more important.
How much did you know about Billy before he became your coach, and how much did you know about this style of play besides hearing, the Bulls play up tempo, but to experience it and to be on the other end are two different things.
Definitely, I would say I knew a little bit about Coach Billy just because Coach Pelfrey, Coach Pelfrey, I used to play for him in Alabama, and they have a really good relationship. So I knew a little bit about Coach, and then also whenever we played the Chicago Bulls, we knew he was going to be in the track meet, and we knew bring your running shoes. So now being on the team, it's pretty cool to be in that position to open space, but also running, getting used to it. So I think that's the biggest thing, trying to get used to it.
Obviously, this team has had long losing streaks you've been part of recently. It's been a tough situation. So you're up 10, 11 points, like 8 minutes to go. And now, they kind of make a run. What's the mentality at that point? How are you getting through that point, given, what's happened the last couple of weeks?
I would say recenter ourselves. That's something that we continue to talk. At the end of the day, the game is about runs. They're going to make their run, and we have to be able to sustain it. But we also have to be ready for whatever their best punch is. And I feel like tonight we did, and I felt like we didn't allow them just to keep throwing their best punch. Okay, we let them throw the first punch, and then we regrouped, and we came back out and just kept pushing.
Obviously, Tre made a big play with the offensive rebound at the end and say threw the ball up. Was there another key play or key shot or key sequence in that last 8 to 9 minutes?
I would say that the stops. I would say the stop at the end, the protection. Nick had a really good game. Isaac played really good defense. Leonard came in. Rob came in and played. Yuki came in and gave us big minutes. And Tre, that was a big time play. So at the end of the day, everybody contributed. Yabu, that big three in the corner, like everyone had a piece of this win, and everyone was ready when their name was called. So it feels good when everybody contribute, and also it feels good when we can spend the night, but also be ready to go tomorrow.
Thank you. He misses the second. He's shooting the second free throw. He got 2 points at that moment. What are you thinking at that point? What are you looking at? Are you thinking if he makes it, he misses it? Where am I going to be?
Right. I know. I mean, just playing like it's the last possession. I know that I got ice crashes every single time, trying to make the winning plays. And so with him crashing, I felt like the ball could get bounced around. Isaac did exactly that. He kept the ball alive and tipped it straight to me. And I kind of had it on the baseline, falling out of bounds, just knowing that there's only 4 seconds left and it first got touched. So by that time, it was probably only a second left. So I just kind of threw it up in the air, knowing that the time would be expiring.
No, right. I mean, that was a smart play. But usually the instinct would be to save it, throw it back to somebody. Why did you think? Had you done that before? Had you seen? Had you been in that kind of thing?
I've never really been in that position before, but I mean, my thought is if I try to save it, it's going towards their hoop. So if I throw it in the air, less time run off, and if anything, the ball goes out of bounds.
So you're thinking through a lot of options as it happens.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. It was just, I don't even know. Like thinking about it now, like that's a lot to think about. But I mean, I feel like watching games and stuff, you kind of think about those things. Like, what if I was in this position at some point? And I mean, shout out to Isaac for making that big play, and I was able to just save the ball.
How about you've endured a lot. It's only a year, but you've been through a heck of a lot here. What does getting this game mean? I mean, it's just my game, but obviously, what the team's been through the last month.
No, for sure. Like you said, we've been through a lot as a team. Obviously, I know what it's like to be traded mid-season as well, so I know these guys have been through a lot who have come in here. And, even we had 2 ways in there tonight. We had Rob and Leonard coming in from, the situations that they were in. Collin playing big minutes for us. Nick Richards, obviously coming from Phoenix and getting to play against them again. So, everybody just stepping up big for us tonight. Means a lot for us just because we've been trying to play the right way. We've been trying to continue to establish our identity, knowing that there are a lot of games left still, and we still are very much so alive to be able to make the play. And so we're just continuing to try to chip away at it day by day, continue to just try to control what we can control, and being able to grind out a win like this to start a long road trip definitely means a lot. Hopefully we can continue to build on it.
You've obviously done a lot of games in your life, close games, wins, but because the team has lost so much lately, now it's kind of slipping away from you at the end. Is there a little more desperation, or we got to get this one, or we're thinking, what's going to happen next because things have gone against you so much. How are we dealing with the last 4 or 5 minutes?
Right. There's always, those thoughts always come into your head, but we are desperate at this point of the year. We know what we're up against, and we want to win as bad as anybody. We believe in each other, and we believe in our group. The coaches believe in us. Billy has the most belief in us as well, and so just being able to pull out that win continues to help build that confidence that we can do this thing. We can pull out these tough games, these close games, versus playoff teams, versus whoever. It doesn't matter who we're playing. At the end of the day, it's a basketball game. And it comes down to doing the controllables and executing down the stretch.
Does it make you feel like you guys do have sort of that? I know you said you're still trying to make plans, but do you feel like there's more that you can build and grow to where you can put together a run like you did last year?
Yeah, for sure. I think we all believe that. And the guys who were here last year that are still here, we believe that and we feel that for sure. We haven't been healthy. We continue to be a little beat up, but I mean it's just next guy up, next man mentality. Everyone bought in today, and we got to continue to have that mentality.
Coming out of one of the timeouts toward the end, he did a play. He ran something for you. You just barely missed. Was that the one?
Yeah.
I mean, when that happens, you're like kicking yourself. Oh, man, right here.
Right. No, for sure. Definitely a bummer there. But I mean, it's just next play. I'm very appreciative that coach has done the game. But yeah, it's definitely tough. Those plays, but then we come down and got a big stop right after. So it's just next play mentality and gotta just put that behind me.